If you're a facilities manager at a university, you know students rely on the cafeteria for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and the occasional late-night snack. So when a dishwasher breaks down and dirty plates pile up, the mess hall can turn messy in the blink of an eye. Enter Grainger. With over 1 million industrial-grade products and fast delivery, the product you need now is never far away. So you can turn that dishwasher back into a lean, clean washing machine. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Oh, sorry, that's for a Democrat show.
Let me know when you're ready.
No matter what the technical difficulty is, this man is a professional. He goes all the way.
What you represent to them is freedom.
Was an extremely great conservative commentator. We're tearing it up on Wednesday night. This is awesome. This will allow me to retort.
Well, this is Jersey Joe for the Reaver of Common Sense show. 8 p.m. on shrmedia.com.
Actually, I just totally screwed up. This show contains language that some viewers may find offensive. Listener discretion is advised. And now on to the show. And welcome to the Reaver of Common Sense. I am your host, Jersey Joe, and I'm trying to make sense out of the senseless. I'm having some technical issues. It seems we have a program that's not working lately, so I'm falling back to an old school method, and I still have to call. I have a special guest, Project Veritas today will be on, and I'm just trying to set things up, and then we're going to give him a call. And, all right, here we go. All right, I'm going to throw my commercial on just for a moment, and we will be back in just a moment's time. So bear with me. We're going to get Project Veritas on the phone.
You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Breaking news. According to the latest report coming out of SHR Media, a merchandise store to support both the Reaver of Common Sense and SHR Media has just been unleashed to the general public. Be forewarned that this site can be contagious and numerous items can be purchased to support the best news programming. Go to Reaver.one website and click on the store link to check out the merchandise.
Listening to Reaver of Common Sense, hosted by my dad, Jersey Joe. Beware, the Jersey Takeover is here. Every Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can catch the Reaver of Common Sense show, hosted by Jersey Joe, right here on shrmedia.com and highplainsdailynews.com. Only Jersey can deliver hell like no one else, so consider this your fair warning.
In a world controlled by corrupt politicians.
You got a business. That you didn't build that.
A team of ordinary men emerge from the ashes to give voice to the voiceless and hope to the hopeless. Sackhead Sean, Dude, I'm not saying Catholic, stupid, bro. Sackhead Clint.
All good friends of ours usually show up drunk.
Also starring Sacco as the producer.
I'm a little bit drunk, 'cause I'm drinking.
They are the Sackheads Radio Show. Every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific on shrmedia.com.
And welcome. We're having major issues today, and hopefully I just got everything straightened out. We're trying to get a hold of Ross. He will be with us momentarily, and yeah, I do apologize about the audio issues we're having. Hopefully that's taken care of for today. As I said, we're just waiting for Ross to call in right now. It might be a few moments. Seems he stepped out of his office as I called in. We were a few minutes late calling him. So, what we're going to be discussing is, well, of course, the latest Project Veritas. And, issues here. If it's not one electronics, it's multiple electronics are giving me problems today. I'm trying to make sure everything is broadcasting fine. Like I said, we had a Hey, Cal. Hey, BZ. Can you guys hear me now? Is everything okay? Hello? Jump on air. I want to introduce everybody to Russ from Project Veritas. I had this great gentleman on back in October. And welcome, Ross. Welcome.
Well, thank you very much for having me on. It's a pleasure to be with you and an honor to visit with your listeners.
It's a brain fart. I'm trying to do a couple things. It's an honor having you. The work you guys have been doing. Sugar. Hold on one second.
You're much more. You're much better this time.
There we go. Let me see if they can hear me now. Hold on. All right, now we have sound. Everything's broadcasting fine. I apologize. I deeply apologize to Russ and to the listeners. We're having massive issues with one of the programs we use to do our broadcasting of the show with. And again, I am so sorry, but sometimes this is kind of the problems that happens when you do these types of internet shows. There's always little gremlins. Welcome to the show, Russ. Welcome to the show.
Jersey Joe, it is a pleasure to be on with you and an honor to visit with your listeners on behalf of Project Veritas and James O'Keefe, our founder.
Yeah, trust me, the pleasure is all mine. Well, I should say the honor is all mine. It's I had a joy having you back in October on the show. I don't know if you remember. I'm pretty sure you do so many shows. It can all blend together. My listeners loved hearing from you. And we're going to talk today about the new undercover video you guys did that you discovered some possible terroristic activity that was going to be conducted tomorrow. You want to give us a little background?
Let me tell you, listeners, that we started this shortly after the election. We started picking up rumblings among the disgruntled losers that they wanted to disrupt the peaceful transfer of power that we engage here in the United States every 4 or 8 years, and they wanted to interfere with the inaugural events and at least try to embarrass people, if not shut down the inauguration itself. So we sent undercover investigators, and believe me, these young men and women that work for us, these are real-life heroes. Your listeners may remember some of the riots up in Seattle and other places when the IMF comes into town or the G8 comes in. These anarchists that burn down buildings and riot in the streets and throw rocks at police. Well, that's the people we're dealing with. And here our reporters are going in undercover under a fake name, wearing a hidden camera, recording, trying to get these people to give out their deepest, darkest secrets, and they're recording it. Sort of like, you see in the movie somebody wearing a wire. It causes its own stress level. So these young men and women, to me, are real heroes that are going out and recording hour after hour after hour of interaction with these anarchists. And what we found in mid-December, there was a meeting at an infamous place in Washington called Comet Pizza. That was the name of a facility that came up during the presidential election, having to do with some nefarious alleged activities there, which were denied. But here this meeting is at the Comet Pizza place, and it's a group of anarchists talking about how they want to put stink bombs, butyric acid stink bombs, into what's called the Deplorable Ball. That's an event that's occurring tonight in Washington, D.C. at the National Press Club. It's a ball that was put together by a lot of the supporters of Donald Trump. It's sort of an unofficial ball. It's not one of the president's official inaugural balls, but there's dozens of these that go on. Well, the supporters of Donald Trump put together the Deplorable Ball, and these anarchists wanted to set off stink bombs in the ventilation system of the National Press Club during the ball. Those are bombs that they're putting off. Stink bombs are bombs. And that's a terrorist activity designed to create panic among the people in that event. And their backup plan, if they couldn't get stink bombs in there, was to cause the sprinkler systems to go off so that the people would become drenched and have to go out in what was expected at that time to be freezing cold weather in the middle of the evening in their evening gowns and evening attire.
Unbelievable.
And have health problems. So these people were reckless in their planning, but one thing they said is they had to go scope the place out and see whether or not they thought they could get the stink bombs in there.
Well, real quick on let me interrupt on that butyric acid. That isn't such a non-dangerous chemical. There is some properties to that could have been very harmful if used. There's respiratory issues. There's skin issues. It does have an explosive level when atomized, like going through an air duct system. So their idea that
this is a very dangerous operation they're talking about, and I agree with you. There are lots of harmful effects of this stuff in and of itself, but just think about the panic that would occur in the room of people trying to evacuate all at one time, just because somebody pulled a prank of putting these butyric stink bombs in the ventilation system. So this qualifies under the District of Columbia laws as an act of terrorism.
Yeah.
And we were quite concerned about it. So right after the first of the year, we were getting, our undercover agents were getting emails from this group, and they got an email saying that we did our, if you will, due diligence. They went and scoped out the press club, and they are convinced they found a way that they're going to be able to get the stink bombs into the ventilation system on the night of the deplorable ball. Well, when we saw that, we said, they're talking about a criminal activity. We can't just sit on this. We have to let somebody know about it. So at the same time, we uncovered another group that was talking about other activities of interrupting the flow of traffic over bridges coming into the city. And then one person at that meeting announced that he had a plan to use chains on the metro trains to tie up the train system so that both the underground train system and the above-ground road systems will be blocked at the same time. Well, if you think about a train trying to depart a station and somebody's chained it down somehow, if that lurches, you're going to cause, again, injury to people on those trains that are standing. So we felt this was just way beyond the pale. I mean, people have the First Amendment right. They have the right of assembly. They have the right of redress of their grievances, but they don't have a right to attempt to harm people.
Well, interfering with mass transit is a federal offense. It's not something that's played around in this country underneath your First Amendment to protest. That's messing.
It's way beyond what is allowable under free speech. It's conspiracy. They're creating violent risks for people. So we went to the Joint Task Force on Terrorism in the Washington, D.C. area, and we visited with the FBI, the Secret Service, the Metro D.C. Police, and eventually the U.S. Attorney's Office, and we provided them with our raw videotapes of these meetings so that they could see firsthand what these people were doing. Well, these people turned around when we released our video and said, we were just joking.
Yeah, I love that
Back in December, when we talked about stink bombs, we were just kidding. We knew Veritas was around, so we were just trying to spoof them. And, you might be able to claim that with one meeting, but not when you come back and say we scoped the place out and we know where to put the stink bombs. And the continued communications that they were putting out on almost a daily basis to our undercover agents and through email. So we reported it to the police and police authorities. And the organizers of the deplorable went through the list of names we identified of people associated with this activity and found several of them had bought tickets to the deplorable. So they refunded their money and went to court and got a restraining order against them coming to the deplorable ball or anywhere near it.
Well, do you want to?
So
they actually tweeted last night, and somewhere in my notes, they actually are still planning to go and try to interfere with it. Even after being warned, they're still threatening now. It seems like with you guys showing that they were backing down, that they kind of like are back to beating their chest, trying to act all big and bad, and they're making some of the threats again. I noticed last night that they're going to be interfering, but now it's going back to we're going to just verbally protest. They're not doing the rhetoric that they were with underneath you guys' video. So,
yeah, they're trying to tone it down to say that we're only going to do legal things. And if something illegal happens, it wasn't us. But they've planned all the illegal things. They're also saying that because we released our videos, they're not going to try to close down all the bridges and roads. They're just going to close one bridge. They're just going to concentrate on one bridge as a protest. But we're getting the reaction from them, and we're playing this out. Now, here's an interesting one, Jersey Joe, and you folks can go to projectveritas.com. Veritas is the Latin word for truth. Project Veritas, Veritas.com, and see these videos and some of the commentary on there. But there was a group that one of our other undercover agents was talking to that was separate from this group of anarchists. And they ran a reverse sting on our undercover. They recognized her from a previous undercover assignment she had, and they got out their cameras, hidden cameras, and ran a reverse sting on her. Well, it blew up in their face. There was nothing there for them to get. But one of the things they did, they harassed this young lady going down the street, and they jumped in a cab with her, and they said something to her about regards from Bob Creamer. Now, your listeners may remember the name Bob Creamer from our election time videos. He's the ringmaster for the Democratic Party's dark money. He was the one who coordinated all the various groups that were doing the violence at the Trump rallies and events and the dirty tricks. That was his operation. He's still involved, and he and his folks are still looking to figure out how they can get back at us for having uncovered them and shown their nefarious activities to the world at large. So he's still around, Bob Creamer, and still running with the dirty tricks groups.
Well, one thing I was looking in, and I just kept reading deeper and deeper, some of these groups that are involved in this Disrupt J20, and the one thing that jumped out at me was there's a page, It's Going Down. This isn't really anything to do with Republican or Democrat. A lot of these groups, I notice, are just anarchists that are looking to cause mayhem, and they're trying to destroy everything that's the American way. They had planned on for Hillary.
These are professional agitators, Jersey Joe. They go around, like several of them were talking about how they just spent 3 months up in the Dakotas on the pipeline up there. They go from controversy to controversy, and they discuss in the meetings. This is amazing. They discuss in the meetings who's willing to do something that'll get them arrested. You know, they want to know who their real top agitators are, or local recruits who'll join their top agitators in activities that will cause them to get arrested. So they're looking for breaking the law. They're violent in nature, and we have to be pretty careful with our undercover men and women. You know, they're not Superman out there. They're just working folks that are very, very courageous.
But they planned on doing this no matter what, whether Hillary won or Trump won. They planned on doing these protests, and it's unbelievable that the Democrats are actually lining up because they were going after Hillary, and now they're trying to get the Hillary people to back them up. But like you were saying, your operatives are, I would say, under extreme danger doing what they're doing because at any moment these idiots could turn against them. And what was it? Throat punch? That one made me laugh. I think some of those guys, if they actually throat punched a couple of these people, they'd just look at them and be like, did you just flick me in my throat? This is how you throat punch.
Think of all these weird things that they dream up and they talk about that include violence and harm to other people, as though it's of no consequence. Well, it is of consequence. We've gone to the law enforcement authorities. I would suspect that there are other organizations that have undercover agents in these meetings, gathering intelligence for law enforcement. And I think that you're going to see there'll be some prosecutions out of this if there is any violent activity illegal activity by them.
Especially under this new administration, I think we're not going to see the turning their backs on activities like this. This should not be happening no matter who is elected. We should not be seeing this type of activity. You want to go protest, that's fine. But the protests I have seen, well, they're not protests. They're riots. They're anarchy. And every time I see these things, it's if you look on the sign, you always see sponsored by, this socialist group, this communist group. They're now not out for betterment of democracy. They're out for the destruction of our democracy.
They're just out for as anarchists, just to create mayhem and chaos wherever they can. But you're right, Jersey Joe. As of noon tomorrow, there's a new sheriff in town.
Yep, and they better kind of be watching their backs. One of our listeners, BZ's, also one of our hosts, he lived through the late 60s with groups that were there, and he's saying that this is reminding him of that time. It's one of the groups that's involved in this actually has ties going back to the 1960s group. It's sorry, give me one. Then it isn't. It's SDS. It's Students for Democratic Society. They're out of California. They just shut down the Milo event in University of California. They actually got deep connections to a racist Marxist group called Freedom Road Socialist Organization, and that one comes from the 60s. And it's scary how we're going backwards in time, and we're seeing a lot of this stuff pop its ugly head up again.
Maybe some of you listeners, their parents have told them about groups like the Weathermen and the SDS, Students for Democratic Society, and all that. These are some bad people, and they're still around today, and the whole new generation of these anarchists that just go from one trouble spot to another, and they create mayhem. That's what they get paid by somebody to do.
Yeah, and I wonder who's backing these groups, and it always seems to revolve around one man, George Soros.
Well, we're trying to get to the bottom of the funding, but that's a little more difficult than getting to their planning activities. So we'll keep working, see if we can uncover what the... we all may have a suspicion of where the money's coming from, but we'd like to be able to prove it. It's like our Al Sharpton videos. Everybody knew he was, just in the race business for money, but nobody could prove it. We proved it. That in all these Ferguson and all these other things that he shows up at, it's just about the money. And Eric Gardner's daughter here in New York was the one who said it's all about the money. And then, of course, she took that back once she got a $5,000 grant to do a website from Sharpton. So life goes on.
I know I'm going to screw her last. Lacey McGalley.
McGalley.
I even through my career as an EMT, I always screwed people's last names up. I don't know what it is. I just, but I'm noticing she has a history. This isn't the first group that she's been a part of that's been a very disruptive. Sure, going through my notes again. I got my notes scattered all over the place.
All these people go from organization to organization. They may belong to 4 different organizations and use a different affinity for each activity they take on. But they're all a rolling part of these anarchists that go from one trouble spot to another, just trying to create havoc and chaos. And undoubtedly, obviously, they're getting paid for it because otherwise they wouldn't be able to survive.
I think a lot of them are getting paid pretty good because the traveling and jumping around they do is not cheap. And
no, it's not.
But for her, she, what was it, Institute for Policy Studies, that was one of them that she was involved in that you guys kind of did some looking into. Not you, I'm sorry. God damn. I can't remember the name of the group. There was a military group. Vets that looked into her and kind of dove deeper into her past. Are all your operatives exposed now within the this Disrupt J20, or they still?
Oh no, they're still in there. They're still in. They're still in, working hard, gathering information, and they'll keep going right through the inaugural and maybe even some of the recap meetings afterwards.
Yeah, I was looking through Disrupt J20's website and their list of activities and how Saturday night, I think it is. They have a meeting of what's next, where they're going next.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. They were also responsible for shutting down one of Trump's other events back in December, weren't they?
Oh, yeah, they've been involved in off and on. So none of these, they're all the same people. The names might just change of the organization that they're representing this time, but the players are all the same.
So we're going to take a quick break. You going to be able to stay with us, or do you have to get going?
I've got to get going here in a few minutes, Jersey. I really do have to get some legal matters taken care of for the people down there in Washington so that we keep them safe.
All right, one last question. Have you got any updates on the FBI investigation, and if they're taking it forward or anything like that?
The latest information on once you turn your information over to the law enforcement authorities, it becomes an active investigation. They don't share progress with you. But we turned it over to the FBI, the Secret Service, and the D.C. Metro Police as part of the Terrorism Task Force in Washington. And they conduct their investigation. Then we got a call saying that the Assistant U.S. Attorney for the District of Columbus would like to talk with our investigators to get some confirmation of a few facts that we had provided them. So we did that last night. That means that the U.S. Attorney, which is the office that actually promotes charges against somebody, they're very actively looking into it. Whether or not there'll be any charges before the deplorable ball tonight or not, we have no idea. But we do know that both the policing authorities and the prosecuting authorities have taken a really solid look at this information we provided, and have taken it seriously. They didn't just say thank you for this information and put it in file 13. They've followed up on it, and they've come back to us for corroborating information. So we're convinced they're taking it seriously, and they'll take the appropriate action to make sure everybody is safe and has a great time at the deplorable ball tonight, and that there are no stink bombs or sprinkler systems going off.
Yeah, and I want to thank you and your organization. You guys have done some tremendous work. You've been helping keeping some groups in check, and I appreciate it, and thank you so much. We're going to head to break. This is Jersey Joe on the Reaver of Common Sense, and we've had Russ from Project Veritas, and I will be right back in a moment. Ow. Wrong one.
You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Breaking news. According to the latest report coming out of SHR Media, a merchandise store to support both the Reaver of Common Sense and SHR Media has just been unleashed to the general public. Be forewarned that this site can be contagious and numerous items can be purchased to support the best news programming. Go to Reaver.one website and click on the store link to check out the merchandise.
Listening to Reaver of Common Sense, hosted by my dad, Jersey Joe. Beware, the Jersey Takeover is here. Every Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can catch the Reaver of Common Sense show, hosted by Jersey Joe, right here on shrmedia.com and highplains.dailynews.com. Only Jersey can deliver hell like no one else, so consider this your fair warning.
In a world controlled by corrupt politicians,
You got a business. That you didn't build that.
a team of ordinary men emerge from the ashes to give voice to the voiceless and hope to the hopeless. Sackhead Sean.
Dude, I'm not saying cow for the stupid pro.
Sackhead Clint.
All good friends of ours usually show up drunk.
Also starring Sacco as the producer.
I'm a little bit drunk, 'cause I'm drinking.
They are the Sackheads Radio Show. Every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific on shrmedia.com.
Every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you can catch the Southside Mutt Show with its hosts, the Jersey Boys, Jersey Joe and Crash, right here on SHR Media and High Plains Pundit Radio, where we will be digging up the dirt.
Times are dark. The people misled by corrupt politicians, lied to by establishment media, and deceived by the false messages of Islam. A nation in confusion needs a guide. It needs a man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me on Spreaker, SHR Media, High Plains Talk Radio, Live Rebooting Liberty, and YouTube for a unique brand of commentary on the unpleasant blind guide. Because truth is not always pleasant.
If you miss a show, don't worry. You can catch the replays two ways, rebootingliberty.com or the Reaver of Common Sense.com. While you're there on Reaver of Common Sense, don't forget, drop in your email and keep up to date with everything going on, or click the like button on the Facebook widget. Now on to the Reaver of Common Sense.
Listening to the SHR Media Network.
This show contains language that some viewers may find offensive. Listener discretion is advised. And now on to the show. And welcome back to the Reaver of Common Sense. I am your host, Jersey Joe, and I'm making sense out of the senseless. So for about the last half hour, we've had Russ from Project Veritas on, and I cannot... I'm amazed at how great of work they do. It's amazing, and they did a great catch because this could have turned deadly very easy. These mental midgets thought it just would be. It's just a stink bomb. It's not that simple. Some of these people that are playing anarchists don't realize how dangerous some of these people actually are. They're not out to change an administration. They're out to change a country. They don't want no government, no laws, no nothing. These are people that want zero laws. And with zero laws come murders, rapes, just all sorts of calamity. These people are dangerous. I mean, I find it funny at the very bottom of the Disrupt J20 website, it says Disrupt J20 does not collaborate with law enforcement. I wonder why. Lacey McAlley, a spokeswoman for the Disrupt J20, told WND the group is anticipating a massive press presence in Washington, D.C. during the inauguration. Quote, "We cannot yet see how significant this disruption will be. We are creating the framework to support mass protests and direct actions to shut down the inauguration of Donald Trump." And within the wording right there, direct actions. If you notice, she said massive protests and then direct actions. That is because direct actions is basically a code word for saying illegal activity. Things that'll get you arrested. These are not peaceful groups. What I don't understand is how the Democrat Party is jumping behind these destructive groups, and they're not even looking into them. They don't understand that this group, Disrupt J20, was going to protest Hillary Clinton if she won. They thought she was just as reprehensible as they feel about Trump. BZ, I agree. I agree so much. And I think a lot of this is going to go by the wayside. There'll be some protests, some banging on the drums, beating on the chest. But I think most of it is going to be a lot of, well, I hope it's just going to be a lot of little chihuahuas yipping. We've heard about these groups are going to do this, and that, and what comes about? Nothing. But we've also seen where they've caused mass chaos. And it didn't help that Chicago protest for a Trump rally, and they shut down the Trump rally. Which they thought was funny at first, but when they were getting blowback over constitutional rights that they shut down free speech, oh, we didn't do nothing. But that empowered these groups because they knew once they shut that one down that they could replicate the results. She went on in this December 10th interview and says, "I can safely say that some groups are likely planning actions that might result in arrest scenarios. Sorry, I cannot give specifics at this time, due mostly to the fact that plans are still in flux, but also due to the fact that not all information is public." Now, she is admitting that she knows of illegal activity that was being planned against an elected federal agent. She came out and admitted she knows there's illegal activity, and she is not turning that information over. She is a part of that. That makes her complicit. Now, tying her legally to it, that's another subject. I'm just... These groups, this is not about anything except for them to be lawless. Anarchists, I know. It keeps going back to that, but... Now, for those I was alluding to earlier, the Institute for Policy Studies that Miss McCauley last employed by, she was a media activist with a passion for amplifying voices of those working for a better world, yada, yada, yada. Same PR bullshit. But the IPS is a progressive think tank dedicating to building a more equitable, ecological sustainment, and peaceful society with heavy funding from George Soros. It's just amazing how every time we bring up protest, disruption of the American way, the name that keeps rearing its ugly head is George Soros. There was some research done and able to go to Google Cache View that up until the day after the election, as I had said, they had the same protest actions against the inauguration of former Senator Hillary Clinton. And it read, and this is directly from their webpage that was up, this action against Hillary Clinton went on for paragraph after paragraph on pre-election results, disrupt J20 website with the same exact protest plans to disrupt her presidential inauguration. I find this odd for a group that is now desperately seeking to attract Hillary Clinton supporters to protest at the inauguration of Donald Trump. It is starting to look like the goal of disrupt J20, Ms. McLaurie and George Soros sponsors, is just to cause trouble, with any politician being an acceptable target for the shenanigans. Now, what makes me laugh is one of Lacey's tweets. She states, when the forces of hate and ignorance try to intimidate you from taking actions, you yell louder, work harder, shout from the rooftop. Now, the huge problem with that, she is the force of hate. She is the ignorance, and she is the one that is trying to intimidate. That's the problem with a saying like that, because when you get to a point, you start becoming what you're fighting against. The tactics that they're using, the Saul Alinsky tactics, to use the language of the Democrats, are nothing but bullies. They're trying to intimidate. Time and time again. They have been the forces of intimidation, hate. There's a tweet someone put up recently that was calling for that Donald or MLK was assassinated. And such a great person, which I agree with that. Why can't someone go out there and kill Donald Trump? Now, I'm not quoting exactly, but that was the gist of the tweet. And it was followed up with hashtag love Trump's hate. Hashtag peace. As she was calling for the assassination of an elected president. These are the same groups that shut down Milo's event in California, and they hung a sign, "Stab Milo, all out J20." These groups are not peaceful groups. These are terrorists group. These are domestic terrorists. Especially when you have Disrupt J20, calling for, quote, lone wolf attacks across the nation. This is not just in D.C. that they're calling for. It's absolutely amazing. The hate that's being perpetuated by these groups. This is disgusting. On Wednesday, January 18th broadcast of CNN's Situation Room, host Wolf Blizzard aired a segment which featured the headline, Developing Now. During that developing segment, Blitzer and correspondent Brian Todd discuss what would happen if the unthinkable happened on January 20th. The upshot was that in the case of both heads of state being killed, the Secretary of State would take over. Currently, that man is Secretary of State John Kerry. This is absolutely disgusting. They went on a little thing, basically how an assassination of Trump would keep the Obama administration in power. Imagine for a minute, and I've been doing that a lot lately. Imagine for a minute that Fox dreamt that up about Obama in 2008. Or even said that about Hillary. I am just disgusted. And a little bit embarrassed by my country right now with their actions. I'm amazed at how low certain groups will go to get what they want. Maybe I'm being naive. I don't know. Maybe I'm just believe too much in the American way, but that'll never stop. I believe in what this country is based on. That's something that'll never stop. You're listening to the Reaver of Common Sense right here on SHR Media and High Plains Pundit Radio. We will be right back.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Breaking news. According to the latest report coming out of SHR Media, a merchandise store to support both the Reaver of Common Sense and SHR Media has just been unleashed to the general public. Be forewarned that this site can be contagious and numerous items can be purchased to support the best news programming. Go to Reaver.one website and click on the store link to check out the merchandise.
Listening to Reaver of Common Sense, hosted by my dad, Jersey Joe. Beware, the Jersey Takeover is here. Every Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can catch the Reaver of Common Sense show, hosted by Jersey Joe, right here on shrmedia.com and highplainsdailynews.com. Only Jersey can deliver hell like no one else, so consider this your fair warning.
In a world controlled by corrupt politicians,
You got a business. That you didn't build that.
a team of ordinary men emerge from the ashes to give voice to the voiceless and hope to the hopeless. Sackhead Sean,
Dude, I'm not saying half of stupid program.
Sackhead Clint,
All good friends of ours usually show up drunk.
also starring Sacco as the producer.
I'm a little bit drunk, 'cause I'm drinking.
They are the Sackheads Radio Show. Every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific on shrmedia.com.
Every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you can catch the Southside Mud Show with its hosts, the Jersey Boys, Jersey Joe and Crash, right here on SHR Media and High Plains Pundit Radio, where we will be digging up the dirt.
Times are dark. The people misled by corrupt politicians, lied to by establishment media, and deceived by the false messages of Islam. A nation in confusion needs a guide. It needs a man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me on Spreaker, SHR Media, High Plains Talk Radio, Live Rebooting Liberty, and YouTube for a unique brand of commentary on the unpleasant blind guide. Because truth is not always pleasant.
If you miss a show, don't worry. You can catch the replays two ways, rebootingliberty.com or the reaverofcommonsense.com. While you're there on Reaver of Common Sense, don't forget, drop in your email and keep up to date with everything going on, or click the like button on the Facebook widget. Now on to the Reaver of Common Sense. This show contains language that some viewers may find offensive. Listeners, and now on to the show. And welcome back to the Reaver of Common Sense show. Hold on one second. So, all right. I might have another caller calling in. I'm still just... One thing, all right, at the beginning of the show, President-elect Donald Trump was picked up in New York by Secret Service and taken to the airport, and he just landed in Washington, D.C. He was picked up and flown in by way of, I think, Air Force. Looks to be one of the other presidential planes. I wonder how it feels for him to be downgrading. All right, hold on 1 second. Hey, I want to welcome to the show the great BZ. I feel kind of bad, BZ. I missed your show Tuesday night, and I do apologize. I wanted to. It just, family life, you know how that goes. I will catch it on the podcast, though.
No problem. That is why God created podcasts.
It just, how's things been for you, sir? You haven't been on in a while.
Yes, true. And I want to thank you, number one. That was a great snag by getting Russ from Project Veritas. What a great, great coup that is to be able to get that guy on your show.
I actually was shocked. I had sent an email back in October, and I was shocked that they were willing to do it. It just floored me. I was like, oh, shit. You know, I feel like a kid in a candy store when I get some of these interviews. I can catch them. It just... You know, you don't think they would be interested in a show, you know, that's not Fox News, CNN, MSNBC, or, you know, Sean Hannity, those types of shows. So I was actually kind of shocked, and I feel privileged that they are willing to do the show. I really am.
Well, I'd say that's quite an excellent reflection on you, particularly in consideration that I'd wager they are really, really busy right now at Project Veritas because of the new videos. They haven't had a series of new videos out in quite a while. And subsequently, I'd wager that they're extremely busy with the various requests that they get for interviews. But Project Veritas is a wonderful, wonderful organization, and it's essentially using the tools that leftists have used for quite some time. It's like having 60 Minutes walk in your front door. As soon as 60 Minutes or Morley Safer used to walk in your front door, you knew you were hosed. Yeah. Except now, basically what they're doing is they're doing it undercover, and there's nothing wrong with that.
No, it isn't. It's exposing the underbelly of what's going on. But I do, one thing I find very funny, because it's not an excuse, and we've been hearing it so many times this year, is when these leftists and anarchy groups get caught. First thing it was a joke. It was a joke. Do they think that it preludes the law? That's not an excuse for making death threats against an elected official, making plans to disrupt, and making terroristic plans of interrupting federal transportation. That's not an excuse to say you were joking. A joke is, a priest, a rabbi, and a Satan walk into a bar. That's a joke.
I think what they haven't quite grokked in terms of the concept yet is the fact that there is a new sheriff in town.
Oh, that.
Now, law enforcement, I've been in law enforcement for a long time. On the border, the U.S. Border Patrol, all those agents are trained out of what is called FLETC, F-L-E-T-C, which is the Federal Law Enforcement Training Center in Georgia, just out of Brunswick. And there, they train all the other law enforcement agencies. Only 2 law enforcement agencies are trained in Quantico, and I trained there with the FBI. It's the FBI and the DEA. Those are the only 2 agencies that train in Quantico. All the other law enforcement agencies train down in FLETC, and they also have some other satellite training areas. One of them is in New Mexico. But out of those, for example, I met some great people in the Border Patrol. I can't tell you, well, you probably already suspect, the Border Patrol is dying to do their jobs. You let those guys and gals go out, and you take the handcuffs off of them, and they will shut the border. That's what they're trained for. That's their mindset. That's why they went to the academy there in the first place. The corollary to that is the anarchists, leftists, and progressives. There is, in fact, a new sheriff in town. I think they're going to discover that tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
Law enforcement already knows that Donald Trump's mindset is such that he is much more pro-law enforcement and has made no bones about it than his predecessor. His predecessor couldn't have given a shit less about law enforcement. As far as he's concerned, they're oppressive. Donald Trump has an entirely different mindset. When you tell the people whose job it is to protect your life, my life, the people on the streets, the people who call, the people who have the sheepdog mindset, and you tell them that you actually appreciate their work, their dedication, their sincerity, they're going to ramp up their actions 100%. When they know that you have their back as a president, as an attorney general, as reflective of the individual department that you work for. Times are changing. Now, they're going to be taking a little bit of a wait-and-see attitude. But I think the people that are in there in D.C., they're ready to rock and roll. And I don't think yet that the anarchists that are going there to show up, I don't think they quite realize that it's a different cadre. It's the same people, but now they're supported. D.C. now has the 6 of the sheepdogs. There is, in fact, a new sheriff in town. I think they're going to discover that tomorrow.
I can't wait. And like you said, I don't think they realize that. And I don't think they're realizing, they got their lawyers and all that, but they're not realizing this isn't happening on some Indian tribal land. This isn't happening in some Joe Schmo town. They plan on doing a lot of this on federal property that does fall within a different jurisdiction and a different rule set. I don't think they're thinking things properly through. And you got some people that just are there that don't realize how deep down the rabbit hole there actually are dealing with these groups. I mean, I started looking into this, and it scared the crap out of me. This It's Going Down group, holy shit. They literally got some ties into some cartels down in Mexico that just made me go, wow. I hope to God this group's being investigated. And that was like 5 minutes of taking a look, and I came across all this information. I'm just like, what is underneath the surface that isn't on the internet? Maybe I'm being naive here. It's scaring the living crap out of me, some of the stuff I'm seeing.
The USC is a entirely different codicil of laws. That's the United States Code. And what they don't realize is that in some ways they're a little bit more hamstrung than some of the local laws around the states. But I can definitely tell you this. The laws of evidence, the acquisition of evidence, are much wider on a federal system and on a federal scale. That was what I used to work with a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. And they're much more wide-ranging than the laws of the various states that are involved. I don't think the anarchists realize that as well. Cops are going to take a wait-and-see attitude. Donald Trump has been saying the right things for a while, and they're going to wait and see if he backs up what he says. But the other extremely important aspect of this, and I really think the leftists and the Democrats don't have a grip on what's coming. They should have made the greatest focus on their panels on Jeff Sessions. Jeff Sessions is going to cruise through.
Oh, yeah.
But I think basically all of them are going to end up cruising through. There might be a little bit of a battle here and there, but I think for most of them are going to...
There's going to be a little turbulence.
They're going to get approved. But they just made a mistake, a serious mistake, by not focusing all their battleship guns on Jeff Sessions. Because he, of all the other people, Secretary of State really doesn't mean a hell of a lot. It doesn't have anything to do with us domestically. Domestically, Jeff Sessions is the individual who gets to decide by the massive power of the Department of Justice just what cases are going to get prosecuted. Just like Eric Holder, just like Loretta Lynch, he has the ability to decide and vet all the cases. What is he going to hear? What is he going to investigate? And what is he going to kick aside? When you get a bunch of anarchists that are going to do something, he's the man that is going to be approved. He's the individual that is going to be looking into all the cases that all these people are going to violate. When you violate a federal law, you're going to come under his purvey. Mm-hmm. You're going to come under his jurisdiction. I don't think they've quite gotten that concept yet.
Well, and with Jeff Sessions, and why I'm liking him is, they're bringing up his past of, well, you did this court case, or you did this, and it's now not right. Well, he came out and said, some of those laws I did not agree with, but it's my job to enforce the laws, I have no right to pick and choose. And, I know it's not Air Force One, but Trump's deplaning for the first time one of the presidential planes into Washington, D.C. He just walked down the stairway out for the first time. I know technically tomorrow it will be the first time underneath Air Force One, but he's meeting with the military and actually shaking their hands and talking with them, something the current administration didn't do. And that always pissed me off when he would just walk by these military personnel that were saluting him and he would just ignore them. It's absolutely disgusting. Where Trump, he's stopping. He talks to law enforcement. He talks to the military guys. He gives them respect. And a very close...
Here's a small bit the leftists don't understand. They really have a very serious misgrasp or a misinterpretation of how the human brain works. Think back to yourself, anybody that's listening to this podcast, anybody that's listening live, think about how it is that you felt when your boss, for example, comes up to you, maybe even out of the blue, and comes up to you, pats you on the back, shakes your hand, and says, you know what, Joe, I really appreciate all the hard work that you do around here. I know you don't get appreciated much, but I just want to tell you that I truly do understand and appreciate the hard work that you've been giving the organization. As a result of something as small as that perks you up for the rest of the day. That can make you go on for the week, the month, the year. Now you have an individual who's going to be doing that and who I believe does truly appreciate law enforcement, the Secret Service. He knows how to get things done. And one of the things that you do to get things done, it's like the 1-minute manager. Anybody that's an appropriate manager knows that you praise in public and you reprimand in private.
Yep.
You don't reprimand anybody in public. That's Mach 1, Model 1 rule of managing. When you take your Secret Service and you take law enforcement, you take the time to just tell them hello. You've created an entirely new cadre, particularly considering how they were treated by Hillary Clinton, by the Clintons, and by the Obamas. They're ready. They're ready to work for somebody, and I think they don't understand that concept. It's about to come out. It truly is.
But we
and
also
if shit really steps off tomorrow, and it does get bad, and prosecutions in a federal venue are warranted, there is a new attorney general coming.
Yep. We also have in this network a gentleman who used to do some OSHA work. And one of his assignments for a company he worked for was a hotel casino down in Atlantic City. Guess who that was owned by? Mr. Donald J.
Well, if you
Trump.
said Atlantic City, I'd have to say the T word.
Yep. And he got to meet Trump on several occasions during the construction. Now, I said when they were discussing business that Trump was very straightforward and he could be a little nasty. But after those meetings and everything was done, he had Mr. Trump coming up to him on several occasions and bullshitting with him like it was, they were at a bar having a beer. And one of the things that he kept stressing to my buddy is if there is anything you need for safety of these guys and they start to give you shit, here's my number, you contact me and I will make sure that the items are procured. I don't want anything unsafe for any of these guys. I want to make sure every single one of them are taken care of. And he stressed that on multiple occasions that he was more worried about safety than anything else for the building of the hotel, the safety of the hotel, everything from top to bottom. And then you go back to just bullshitting and talking to him like, anybody else. He's this billionaire, yes. Is he an elitist? Yes. But because of the business that he was in, he's always around construction workers, everyday blue-collar men and women. And everybody I've talked to that has met him that says he is very down to earth. He knows how to have those conversations, how to be one of us. Where you've had a lot of these politicians, they got their nose so far up in the air, they don't know how to be respectful anymore.
Well, here's the major difference. You're talking about Donald Trump, who's a businessman, and he knows how to. He's been making a big deal out of negotiations because of the fact that he is a businessman. And it's about damn time. Even before installation as president tomorrow, he's gotten a lot of corporations to roll over like little puppy dogs and say they're either coming back or they're going to change their ways. That's what a good businessman does. The Obama doctrine of leading from behind also meant that he negotiated from behind. One of the reasons I'm sure that he chose Rex Tillerson is because he knows him and he knows how that guy negotiates as well. We will no longer in the United States be negotiating from behind. In all the negotiations we've been involved in recently, all we did is give up shit and we didn't give anything in return. That was purposeful. That was absolutely purposeful. The point was, and John Kerry knew it and hooked on to the philosophy as well, is the United States needs to be taken down a peg or three. They were colonialists, when in fact they weren't colonialists, but that's how Obama was raised, and that's how he believes. And so we need to diminish the power of America. Well, that's not how you negotiate. He gave away the store with regard to Iran. Every important and critical aspect in terms of negotiation, Obama has given away things and not looked out for the self-interest of, or the interest, rather, I should say, of the United States. That's what I consider to be one of the most heinous, abysmal aspects of Barack Obama and his corrupt regime. They don't have the interest of the United States primarily in mind. That is so egregious. That's so terrible. What's wrong with saying Trump has the bully pulpit, by God, and he's going to use it.
Yep.
They hate that he has the ability to get on a small handheld device and communicate directly with the people of the United States. Now, everyone knows, and it's I'll be the first to admit, in many ways, he's an absolute fucktard. He's a guy with a dead orange cat sitting on the top of his head. He's going to screw up. He's going to do a lot of things that I don't agree with. On the other hand, he's not Hillary Rodham Clinton, and he's not going to take the path of her. I think Donald Trump is a true, honest-to-God pragmatist. He's going to get things done. He's going to turn things upside down. He's already said that he's going to go in and try to remove, in the first 100 days, and eliminate a lot of jobs in the federal government. Well, along with all those people that are there doing various jobs in the federal government, not only are the politicians and federal employees and the American media maggots, they're bedwetting, and they're involved in absolute pants-shitting hysteria right now because he's going to remove some of that power and try to minimize the power of the federal government. And he's going to run the government like a business. That's so overdue. Oh, my God, it is so incredibly overdue.
If you look at it, we are incorporated.
For example, when they shut down the government, they said all non-essential government jobs are going to be set. You're going to go home.
Good.
Really? So how many non-essential government jobs do you really have? Well, most of them went home. That means to me most of those arseholes working for the federal government are non-essential. Mm-hmm. If you're not essential, you shouldn't be employed.
Yeah. I agree 100%. You know, if you're non-essential, that means we don't need you. Means we should not be spending money. There is so much waste in this government. Jesus. Putting goddamn shrimp on treadmills and having them run around. You know, I've gone over several different things that we waste money. I know it's a little bit different than what you were talking about. It's just, we technically are incorporated. The country is incorporated. We are a corporate entity. Well, it's about damn time we have someone that's run a corporation. And yes, I know his businesses have declared 4 bankruptcies. Yeah, out of all the businesses that he's taken over and run, he's got like a 97% success rate. You know, they always point out the 4 bad, and that's not always exactly accurate because business, they use laws the way they're meant to be. And they'll buy these companies that are not doing good. Declare bankruptcy, restructure the debt, not wipe it away. Everybody thinks when you declare bankruptcy, the debt just goes poof. No, it doesn't. It restructures the debt. It allows you to restructure the company to turn it to profitability. Now, a lot of these people used to buy those companies and then break it apart and sell it for a profit. Everybody bitch. So now you have these businesses that will buy them, throw them into bankruptcy, restructure them, and send them back on their way again. But that's a bad thing? My pea brain can't wrap my head around how that's a bad thing.
That's right out of the movie Wall Street, with Gordon Gekko, who used to go into businesses and tear them apart and restructure them because they weren't strong enough. Here's the deal about Donald Trump and bankruptcy. If you haven't gone bankrupt as a business, you're one of the few that never has.
You're not taking risks.
In terms of Donald Trump, in terms of business and management, when you go bankrupt, you do those things and you take advantage because you'd be an asshole if you didn't, to take advantage of the laws that are already on the books. Look, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, leftists of all ages, the laws are there. If you don't want someone to take advantage of the laws, change the damn laws. That goes with immigration as well.
I was just getting ready to say that.
If you want to remove the borders, change the damn law. Well, they don't have the guts to change the law because, number one, in terms of immigration, they don't have the guts to say we're going to have open borders. There would be mass riots and insurrection were they to do that. If they remove the bankruptcy laws, all those arseholes in D.C. benefit from that same kind of thing that they're accusing Trump of. Yes, Trump went bankrupt. He's a manager. He got back on his feet. He took advantage of the laws that were already on the books. If you don't like the laws, change the laws. Yeah. That's not going to happen. That won't happen.
And that's the one
Donald
that
Trump
pisses
was
me
handed
off.
the business from his father. So he's the scion of a business. He's just like Howard Hughes. Howard Hughes' father made millions of dollars creating the drill, the diamond drill for drilling for oil. He handed in his entire company over to Howard Hughes. Did you know that Howard Hughes was 18 years old when he took care and took custody of the Hughes Tool Company? He could have taken that and pissed away millions of dollars. Instead, he turned it into a multi-million-dollar operation. The same with Donald Trump. You could say that he's just another kid, and he got wealthy on the back of his dad. Yes, and he could have driven all of those businesses right into the ground, but he didn't. So there's a new sheriff in town. He knows what he's doing. I believe in him in terms of business a hell of a lot more than I would any other leftist. For example, Paul Krugman, who's an economist and a shitty one at that, and he works for the New York Times, said that once Trump was elected, that the stock market was going to crash.
Oh, yeah.
The exact same opposite happened, asshole.
Well,
the Dow almost reached 20,000. Now, given the Dow is in a bubble right now, and that doesn't necessarily reflect the true economy the way it's going right now. This economy is headed for a correction.
Oh, yeah.
And the correction is going to come a little bit more in line. One of two things are going to happen. The economy will actually begin to get back on its feet. We'll start to attack the deficit, or there's going to be a massive, massive, horrendous crash. And it could occur under Donald Trump. And that's why I'm taking a wait-and-see attitude. I know that he's going to do a lot of things that I'm not going to agree with. That's a given.
Yeah, but you know what? That's life. You're not always going to agree with somebody. Sometimes you disagree, and that's it. You shouldn't be blindly. To me, if you're saying I agree 100% with everything he says, you're blindly following that person. You're not questioning. There's stuff he's done I don't agree with. That's life.
The only person that I agree with in terms of going into D.C. and doing all of the things that I want to see done is me.
Yeah.
I'm the perfect candidate, and I'm not running. So absent that, going back into reality, yes, I'm going to see things that I'm not going to care for. But even before tomorrow, even before the installation of Donald Trump, businesses, the attitudes are going up. The Dow is going up. The market is going up. Businesses, it's a new day dawning. Now I'm going to give him the bully pulpit, and I'm going to wait and see as to what he does. Now, we all know that he's not going to get any kind of a honeymoon from anyone. He's going to be given the least, well, he won't be given any honeymoon whatsoever. But he's saying things that are already pissing people off. The Washington Examiner said Trump eyes a 10% spending cut and a 20% slash of federal workers. Now, once the people in D.C. saw that, heard that, read that, yes, they were pooping on the sheets, the plastic sheets of their bed, because he knows they're in his gun sights. And if that happens, that will absolutely rock Washington. Absolutely. He's going to target discretionary spending, not mandated programs. I don't think he's going to really touch much of Medicare or Social Security, but he's going to try to do this to boost the Pentagon's budget, to enable tax cuts, and I think he's actually going to use this to try to build a wall on the nation's on the southern border. People have said that, yeah, he's not going to do that.
Yeah, right.
You know what? I think he really is. And I think the way he's going to achieve his tax cuts and his minimization of the number of people working for the federal government is he might not. I'm hoping that he'll actually cut spending. He may decide to do a freeze. He may decide to attrit. I'm not quite sure. But I think he's actually going to eyeball the cutting of people and the cutting of spending. You know, the opposition is going to be absolutely huge. Democrats, federal unions are going to squeal like pigs.
Real quick.
But it's about time somebody came in there and at least said, this is my goal, this is what I'm going to do.
One of the things that's making me laugh is I was watching the hearings, and you now have Democrats crying about the debt, worried about the budget. For 8 years now, they have not said a word about the budget, increased our debt. And now, all of a sudden, well, if we cut Obamacare, it's going to add this to our debt. And they're coming up with numbers like 20 billion, 50 billion. Well, you know what? I'll take that 20 billion or 50 billion, where Obamacare in 2016 cost the American people 110 billion. So yes, it's going to add 50 billion to the debt, but that's still more than 50% less than what we're spending now. And when the hell did Democrats worry about budgets? What I see them doing is lately they're trying to use key words that conservatives have talked about: budget, patriotism, constitution. And they're trying to use that thinking, well, if we talk about it, they're going to jump on our side.
Well, what have the Democrats ever been? Hawks.
Yeah.
They've always been doves.
Yeah.
Well, that ox got gored when Russia may have, and I'm not saying they did, but they may have gotten into the DNC. And so all their nasty, their dirty little secrets, their dirty little lies were revealed.
Here's
when
what
the
I've heard.
Ox got gold, then it was time for them to act like hawks.
Here's what I heard, BZ,
I'm sorry, what's that?
From what I looked into, it wasn't Russia. Russia may have tried to hack, but from what I'm hearing and reading, it was a disgruntled employee within the DNC that was then pushed into Hillary's campaign and did not like what they were hearing, so they smuggled the information out and gave it to WikiLeaks because they didn't like what they were seeing, what the Democrat Party was doing. And they knew the only way for the American people to know what was going on, they had to expose it. And that's all right, go ahead.
What people so quickly forget, just within the past 2 months, Julian Assange said it wasn't the Russians. Comey said it wasn't the Russians. Even Obama said the Russians didn't hack the election.
No.
But now the Russians are responsible for everything. It's only important when their ox got gored. It was Hillary Clinton as Secretary of State and Barack Obama as President who handed the red button for a Russian reset over to a Russian ambassador. It was Obama, and I've said this again and again, and no one remembers, who said sotto voce over to President Medvedev when he was actually installed there, you know, when I have my second term, I'll be a lot more conciliatory to Russia. And now it's the Russians. The only reason it's the Russians now is because that information got out. If it hadn't, this wouldn't be an issue right now. And not once did anyone on the other side of the aisle come back and say, you know what? None of that information in those emails is accurate. It's all bullshit. Well, they've not said that because
John Podesta
all of the
tried
information in those emails is correct.
John Podesta tried that and got smacked down when it was confirmed through Google programming that it was, accurate. And also, who was it? Donna Brazil tried that too. She said that one time, that it wasn't, that they were hacked and faked, and it got smacked down pretty quick.
It's all accurate.
Well, this is what I think's going on. Part of the reason why they're trying to blame Russia is Obama tried to do a reset with Russia, just as every president has tried to do a reset with Russia. But it failed underneath Russia in ways we haven't seen in decades. What they saw during the primary is a mutual respect between Putin and Trump. Doesn't mean they were working together, a mutual respect. They don't want to see a successful reset because then it would prove just how bad Obama really was. So they're trying to throw in every little obstacle to stop it from happening.
You just right there made one of the core, if not the core point of all of the stuff that's occurring. And I was going to wrap up with this, but damn it, you beat me to it. Get the hell out of my head. And that's this. The Democrats, the leftists, the anarchists, all of those people on the opposite side of the aisle, even a number of Republicans, they don't want to see Trump succeed.
Nope.
If he succeeds, that's a refutation of all of their ideas that they've been bringing to the forefront for years. If he succeeds, he proves that if he attacks government and makes government smaller, that's what works. They don't want him to succeed. They want him to fail, and not just fail small. They want him to fail big. Because if he succeeds, if it works, that just proves that all of their ideas, their core fundamental philosophies, he has proven or may prove wrong. So that's why it's all guns on, all guns blazing. They can't afford to have him succeed. That's a massive, massive, what I consider to be the fundamental issue. If he succeeds, they're all going to be proven wrong. They can't afford that. The phony baloney jobs are on the line.
Well, if he succeeds, it shows that we don't need career politicians, that we can have outsiders come in and run the government and then leave Washington, D.C., and it makes these career politicians obsolete.
Well, and it all harkens back and goes back to progressivism. And progressivism is a thought, it's a concept that goes back to the late 1800s and the early 1900s. Some of the biggest progressives around were Woodrow Wilson. That's no shock. Robert La Follette, and people don't realize this, that one of the largest progressives around was Teddy Roosevelt. That's a shock to most people. The progressives were a band of reformers that got together in the early 1900s, and their core belief was, in order to address the problems of a new America, the U.S. had to abandon the old, what they considered to be the old crumbling ideas of the founding fathers in favor of a new, just an expansive concept of the role of government. That's where modern liberalism came in. They believed that the government was too small. So when you say that the government is too small and the government has too little power over the lives of people, that flies in the face of the U.S. Constitution. What a lot of people don't realize is the Constitution doesn't exist and was not written, and the Bill of Rights were not written to expand the role of government. If you examine closely the Constitution, specifically the Bill of Rights, it doesn't tell what government can do. It crafts everything in terms of what government can't do. And progressives hate that. It limits the role of government. That's the exact opposite of what they want. And that's what you're seeing here.
Yeah, it's...
Barack Obama just has a D behind his name. He was a progressive.
Oh.
Make no bones about that.
It's... Donald Trump, if he is successful, he's going to have a lot of politicians shitting themselves because they're just going to be obsolete anymore, no matter what side of the aisle. I think we're going to get a huge push now, since that bill's been introduced, for the amendment that gives term limits to Congress. We need that. We need it. Just, I'm tired of career politicians. And even with the way the bill's written, it still gives a nice career to a successful politician. Because you could do 12 years in the House. I think it's, 8 years in the House, I think it is. 12 years in the Senate. And then if you're really good, you can get another 8 years as president. So if you're really a successful politician, you can make a life out of it, but this would limit a majority of these 30, 40, 50-year politicians. I have no problem with bringing in older people. They have knowledge. But when you have someone in that long, it has a tendency you get too complacent in your position and you try do things the same way year after year after year. Well, we need some new ideas brought into this country and maybe some different ways of doing it. And that's one of the things I like about Trump is, and I backed him very early on, is he surrounds himself with the best people. And I knocked Obama since the beginning of my show, way before Trump was, there was ideas of him running, but of him actually running. And one of the things I constantly said is Obama has to be the smartest man in the room. Trump surrounds himself with the smartest people. And right now, yes, they say it's all part of the swamp. No, it isn't. He's bringing in the brightest people to surround him on how to correct all the problems that are going on. Okay, if you're the brightest, you're going to probably be a very successful person. So I don't care what their financial worth is. I don't care if they're worth $5 or $5 billion. He's bringing in the smartest people that can now correct our government and get the ship righted.
Well, Democrats and leftists already made a huge mistake because they're eventually going to approve Jeff Sessions.
Oh,
That's a given.
Well, they're afraid of Jeff Sessions because they know he's going to enforce the laws and he's going to enforce immigration, and they need illegal immigrants, even though I know Obama said that's fake news, that there's no illegal immigrants voting. He's so full of shit, it's not funny. And then he... different subject, sorry. Well, that one pissed me off because voter ID is likened and connected to Jim Crow laws. I love how Democrats always run back to Jim Crow. Well, they would know. They created the fucking Jim Crow laws.
That's right, the Democrats, exactly. In California, here's the deal that I've been saying for a long time. Hillary Clinton, it's claimed, won the popular vote by about 2 million votes or so.
Trump won 30
Those 2 million
states.
Votes came out of California.
Yep.
And the bulk of those votes were illegal.
Yep.
Absolutely illegal. California has the motor voter law.
Yep.
So, do you need to be a lawful citizen to get a driver's license in the state of California under Jerry Brown? The answer is no, you don't. However, because of the motor voter law, which goes into full effect this year, once you apply for a driver's license, you're automatically registered to vote. How convenient is that?
I know.
Go back a little bit. People are saying that the motor voter law was not in effect because it comes into effect this year in California during the election. Do you think there's any precinct in the state of California, because of its nature, that if anybody walked up and said, I want to vote, and if they look even remotely Hispanic or slightly elevated melanin count, do you think anyone in the state of California challenged at a voting precinct any voter? The answer is no. Hillary Clinton got the popular vote out of the state of California. Period. End of statement.
I got an argument with some nitwit on Twitter about those laws in California and giving access to voting. But and I always hear about the popular vote. Well, what about the fact that Donald Trump won 30 states compared to Hillary's 20 states? If you want to look at stuff, I think Donald Trump won more counties in California than Hillary Clinton did. You know, if you want to cherry pick information, not you, but the left does, I could cherry pick the information too, because Obama won a bunch of the counties, or he won Florida in 2012. But if you look, Mitt Romney won a majority, I mean a majority of the counties in Florida. But you don't hear us bitching about that. This cherry picking of information is just that. It's a joke to me. So you want to come at me about the popular vote? Like you said, California was 3 million votes right there. Well, it wasn't Donald Trump that came up with that number about the illegal votes. It was brought up by True the Vote that was investigating the votes. And they came across the fact that there was 3 million illegals that voted in the election. It wasn't Donald Trump. It was True the Vote.
Well, and it also doesn't take into account how many people direct from the show of The Walking Dead came in and voted in Chicago and various other leftist areas. When you looked at videos, when you were looking into voter fraud, all of the things that you saw in terms of voter fraud were occurring on behalf of the Democrats, period, end of statement. The people that were attempting to sign folks up only wanted to sign up Democrats.
Yep.
Voter fraud by name is the Democrat Party, period.
Even Obama back in 2008 admitted that there's massive voter fraud conducted by the Democrat Party. He admitted that right out. I couldn't believe it.
James O'Keefe from Project Veritas, which is why they have to slash, burn, and kill James O'Keefe and Project Veritas, proved, because he had assholes on video saying that they have been corrupt for years, right on video. That's why they have to attack that. Bob Creamer said it right in the face of James O'Keefe and the various operatives that are working for Project Veritas. That's why they have to do their very level best to make sure that he's completely eliminated.
Yeah, and it's not exactly working. And I'm going to try to swing this back to what we started with. I mean, I these groups that are looking to do harm, if it wasn't for James O'Keefe, who's doing what journalists used to do. I mean, he is a journalist, and I'm amazing he turned out so great. He went to Rutgers and graduated from Rutgers. It just... I'm thankful for him, because without him, a lot of people would have been getting away with murder.
Well,
and possibly
that's the
real
exact
murder.
same thing, just like I said. That's the same thing with 60 Minutes. 60 Minutes would send somebody into a business or an operation of some sort with an undercover camera and catch you being a lying sack of crap. So it was good for journalists then. It's not good for journalists now. No, because journalism is dead. Journalism is absolutely dead.
Oh, yeah.
It's not just moribund. It's dead.
It's amazing how far our journalists have fallen. I can't believe how far they've fallen. These groups that are planning to disrupt the inauguration, they're not out for a better America. They're not out for a better country. They're out for lawlessness.
They are well and truly anarchists.
And we have to resist buying into this bullshit.
Hey, I know you got to go pretty soon, and I know you got to wrap things up. I'd like to sort of end up with this little factoid.
Go right ahead, sir.
I'm sure you've heard of Progressive Insurance.
Yep.
There's one thing that you need to realize. Progressive Insurance came upon its name for a really specific reason. You might not know it. It's the third largest auto insurer in the United States. Its revenues are about $13 billion a year. Its former CEO and now current chairman of the board is a guy named Peter Lewis. He inherited cash from his dad, who sort of co-created Progressive Insurance in 1937. Now, this Peter Lewis guy has a wealth of $1 billion. He created Progressive Insurance and kept that name because it's absolutely progressive, and that was the core belief system of his father. So it should come as no shock to you that Peter Lewis has contributed $7 million and then $8 million to the ACLU in 2001 and 2003. Ladies and gentlemen, put your money, or don't put your money where your politics are. Be aware. Progressive has that name for a reason.
Yeah, and I'm going to end the show with one last little tidbit. Now, I put it in the chat room at the beginning of the show, and I wanted to go over this with everybody. This is not my facts. This is from National Institute of Occupational Safety and Health, which is OSHA. Butyric acid. Now, the warnings underneath that chemical is fire. It's combustible, and it gives off an irritating or toxic fume or gases in a fire. Explosive above 72 degrees Celsius, explosive vapor, air mixture may be formed. Now, the one thing I forgot to grab off of it, when it's aerosolized, it has a very easy explosive point. Within a health risk, inhalation can cause sore throats, coughing, burning sensation, shortness of breath, labored breathing, and symptoms may be delayed. Now, that is for someone in perfect health. You give someone that has any type of respiratory problem, and you can send them into respiratory arrest. It can cause, within the skin and eyes, pain, redness, blisters, severe deep burns, and loss of vision. The substance is a medium strong acid, reacts with bases and strong odorants, and attacks many metals. And this is what they thought they were going to be such geniuses and expose people to.
There's one little thing that because I think you're perhaps a little humble on this, there's one final thing I'd like to point out to the audience listening to what Jersey Joe just said. Jersey Joe isn't just some schmo that walked in from the hallway somewhere. Jersey Joe says that and makes reference to that because he was an EMT and knows what the hell he's talking about. You were an EMT for many, many years.
Yeah.
So my guess is you have a fairly good grasp of what that stuff can actually do. Just thought I'd throw it in there because I didn't think you would.
I appreciate it. And it's one of the things we're trained to do is look this information up so we know what we're dealing with. They think it's all roses and sunshine, and it's just going to give off a stink because it's also used in Hershey's chocolate. They put this stuff to give a chocolate taste in certain forms of it. So they think it's perfectly acceptable. It's also used in regular stink bombs. But what they were talking about using is very dangerous and can cause not just the health issues here. That smell goes off, and then I got to wrap this up because I'm running out of time big time. Think of the fact of the terror it could cause and having everybody run out of that building and the damage that it can cause that. Tramplings, people jumping out of windows. They could have caused massive issues. And they didn't think about it. I want to thank you, BZ, for calling in. It's been a while, and I've missed having you on air. Thank you. Give a shout out for your show, please.
My show is actually on the air now. You can find me on Twitter at bzepp. I have my own blog, bloviatingzeppelin.net, and I will be on the air. The Sackheads, just before the Sackheads radio. They're on Wednesday, and I'm on Tuesdays now. And my show starts on SHR Media at 8 p.m. Pacific time and 11 p.m. Eastern time, so you're going to be a night owl, or you can hear it on the podcast as well. It's the Bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon.
And guys, ladies and gentlemen, check it out, and I'll see everybody tomorrow. Have a great day. You've been listening to the Reaver of Common Sense with its host, Jersey Joe. You can tune in every day, Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on hppundit.com and shrmedia.com.